How are you today? What kind of day are you gonna have? All right, you gonna have a good day? You're gonna have a bad day?
Good
You're gonna
busy
have a
day.
great day. A great day? Okay. You guys know that you choose that, right? You get to choose what kind of day you have. I don't care how you woke up. I don't care what side of the bed you woke up on. You get to choose what kind of day you have. Even when shit goes sideways and you're just having a rough morning, it's a 5 minute reset. But when it comes down to your mindset, the only person that can control it is you. And people say it all the time. And I love this. She ruined my day. He made me upset. Anyone ever said that? Don't lie to me. I know you all have. Well, the truth is, no. Your response to their actions made you upset. Your response to their behavior made you mad. It's all in how we perceive it. This is me giving you the little matrix moment. You control your own mindset. If someone makes you mad, no, they didn't. You made yourself mad. The only person in the world that can control your emotions is you. Now, people can have influence, and you may listen to them very well. Hell, you may even allow them to change your minds. But it's ultimately your decision. So, if you're going to have a good day, you're going to have a bad day. It's up to you. If today's going to be productive or non-productive, it's up to you. I love that, man. Ownership gives me joy. We all like to know the owner of something because I think it's cool, right? Ooh, I know the owner of this really cool restaurant, or I know the owner of this sports team. We just feel cool knowing the owner. But have you ever thought to yourself, oh, wow, I know the owner of the best life ever? Me. Now you do. Now you know who's in control. Now you know who's in control. You can have a little powwow with them and say, hey, your ship is running off course. Let's get it back in direction, especially if you woke up in a bad mood or if you woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Or yesterday was tough, or this, and this. It doesn't matter. There is no excuse out there, nothing that would keep you from being better, living better, having a better mindset. I got married in February 3rd. And to show you somebody's steel resolve, my mom broke her neck February 1st. And she refused. She did. She refused to say that she was hurt. I didn't find out about it until the middle of my reception when I was dancing with her. And she was acting strangely. She said, I hurt myself. And she's like, I think I broke my neck. Well, that woman refused to even listen to her physical body telling her that, hey, woman, you broke your neck. You are in some pain. She's like, nope, my son's getting married and I'm not going to miss it. Now, this isn't the only example of my mom doing that. My mom's done this her whole life. She broke her shoulder and 2 days later was on a 19-day trip to Italy. Doctor told her she couldn't go and she said, you can't stop me. She wrecked a motorcycle that should have killed her. She got up and walked away. Now, this isn't because my mom is the luckiest person in the world. It's because my mom is the stubbornest person in the world. And ain't nobody going to tell her when she's hurt. Ain't nobody going to tell her it's time to sit down and rest. She's got things to do, people to see, a life to enjoy. Now, this is from my own personal life. I'm sure you have somebody in your life that you can look at it that's just as stubborn, but it may not be stubborn for positive. It may be stubborn for bad. They'll fight you on everything. Right? And as Jack put in the chat here, it's the Scottish bloodline. You're absolutely right. It is that Scottish stubbornness. But who do you know that's super stubborn about everything? They'll fight you on everything. They'll argue everything because they want to win. Anyone know someone like that? Shake your heads.
Me.
You. There you go. I know your mom, so I see it. I know where you got it from. But when you get like that, sometimes you're fighting for the negative and you're holding on to the negative just to be right. Sometimes you got to let it go. One of my early mentors in this career and in life, I've known him for a long time, is another agent in the office. He taught me one line that'll always stick with me. And he taught me another lines I gave up on because I pick and choose my lessons. And he told me, you know what, Dan? You're a stubborn fool. You're right. I am. He goes, would you rather be right or you rather get paid? And early in my career, I ruined a lot of really good opportunities because I had to be right. I took control of that and realized that, you know what? I don't have to be right all the time. I get to own my own experience. And just because someone else thinks I'm right or wrong, it doesn't add value to my life. Just because someone else is upset or mad doesn't add value to my life. So this is my shift in mindset to you. If you're the stubborn fool, realize that sometimes you may argue yourself into a debt, but be stubborn for the right things. Don't allow your mindset to be controlled. Don't allow your environment to be somebody else's play toy. Be steel and resolved. If you don't have the stubborn Irish or Scottish mentality like my family does, borrow some of mine. You can have it. I have gulps of it to give away. But don't allow external to change your internal, because the world around you does not know what goals you are going towards. So it's not out to get you. Things aren't out there to cause you harm. They don't know. Shit just happens. It's because of us going, oh, that was a personal attack. It wasn't. So when things go awry, take ownership of it. What could I have done? Where was my DNA in all this? There's a great book. It's called Extreme Ownership by Leif Babin. It's a military-based book, but he talks a lot about extreme ownership in business and in life. When this happens to you, your experiences change because it is what it is. Not everything is as it seems. A great little story I heard yesterday was two angels find themselves in need and they come across a mansion. And the older angel knocks on the door and the younger angel stands behind him, and a gentleman opens the door and says, what do you want? He's like, well, we're in need. Can we stay in your guest room? He's like, no, you can't stay in my guest room. You can sleep in the barn. And the two angels say, that is fair. And they go out there and they get some rest. And the older angel sees a hole in the wall and he mends the hole and he fixes it. And the younger angel goes, why are you doing that? This guy wouldn't give us anything. Why are you helping him out? And he said, well, not everything is as it seems. A couple nights later, they find themselves in a farm. They come across a very decrepit hutch, a poor family there in the yard working it. And he goes, we are in need. Do you mind if we stay at your home? And the farmer brings him in, gives him food, feeds him, and says, why don't you sleep in our bed so you guys can get a good night's rest? In the morning, they wake up to the farmer and his wife crying over their milk cow who's passed in the field. And the younger angel gets mad. He gets mad with rage. The older angel, he goes, how could you let this happen? He goes, these people had nothing and gave us everything, yet you let their cow die. And he's like, well, nothing is as it seems. See, the gentleman at the mansion hid gold in the wall. And when I saw it, I sealed it up so he couldn't get it anymore because that man coveted everything. And last night, the god of the reaper came to take the farmer's wife. Instead, I gave them the milk cow. You see, nothing is as it seems. The young angel didn't know what was going on, so they saw what he wanted to see, and he got mad about it, right? While the old angel, who's been through it before, knows that things are just things, and it may not be what it seems. So, not that I want you to be in a religious mindset or anything like that, but it just goes to show that when somebody's actions make you think they're out of alignment with a goal or they're doing something completely erratic, take a step back and question, do I know the whole story? Do I see everything that's working right now? Because things aren't always as they seem. Personal attacks, negative situations, opportunities. When you are focused on finding the light and you're focused on finding the positive things in life, do you think you'll find more of them? Do you believe me when I tell you that the less that you let negative people influence you, the less you'll see of those negative people? Finish the sentence. Misery loves
company.
So how do you get away with company? You
Find
don't invite them over.
people to hang out with.
Yeah, you don't invite them over. Or you leave, man.
Dan, can I piggyback on that a little bit?
Please do, Mara.
You know that I've taught a course in compassion, and one of the things we work on is understanding that everyone has their causes and conditions. And it just seems to fit with what you were just saying. If you can just take a beat and think about what's causing this person to do this, what have they been through? It can really help us have a little more compassion for others and
And that's-
ourselves. We have
yeah.
our causes and gonna do what's making me feel this way.
And I love that, because this is one of the things that I had some newer agents with me yesterday, and they're on this call today. And the three of them are excited to go and visit a house that we're doing a site inspection on. And the different energy levels around the conversation, because three different people, even though they all started in real estate about the same time, they've had the same education, the same experience, the same insights, three of them had way different emotional reactions to the situation. Now, as a coach, I know that this is different volleys and things, but as an agent, a newer agent, you may see, well, why am I not getting this like they are? Why am I not understanding this like they are? Well, it may not be as it seems. You may have the very same understanding. You may have the very same experiences as somebody else, but you don't have the same life. So your understandings are going to be different. Their positions are going to be different. You may have the very same client conversations, the same scripts, the same objections, with way different outcomes. And often we get really deterred because something didn't go the way it was supposed to. Well, when you go into something with expectation, that's when you get disappointment. When you go into the expectation of potential versus the expectation of absolute, you can change that. Knowing that, hey, whatever happens, happens. I'm going to make the best of it. That allows you to free up your brain. Like the other day, Mikey was on here. Michael Weining's one of our senior agents, and he has a really, really tough deal he's working through. And at first, got bottled up. Man, this sucks. Why is this happening? And he turns into, okay, this is how we're going to fix it. I have an opportunity. I see a potential. And he's worked like hell to get this other client. And the thing working against him is the client doesn't speak English that well. English is not their first language. They come from a completely different culture. So things aren't always as they seem. They may not be mad or grumpy or upset, and they may try not to piss you off. It's just because that's just who they are. And I gave him some insight. I said, that culture believes in the loudest person is right. They're not yelling at you to yell at you or argue with you. That's just their culture. The loudest person is right. And sometimes when you have that, you can realize, okay, it's not them personally attacking me. It's just, that's how they communicate. Anyone ever had Middle Eastern clients? They are a culture of negotiation. They negotiate everything. Hell, they will negotiate how you spell your name. It's not being rude. It's just their culture. Not everything is as it seems. But don't allow that to frustrate you into a point where you can't move forward. Right? Keep your mindset still resolved. Come from compassion, knowing that multiple people have multiple experiences that are unlike yours. And you, as a professional, get to navigate so many different worlds. That's where I think it's important to keep your mindset right. And no matter how your day started, you get to choose how it ends. No matter how the conversation started, you get to choose how it ends. No matter how the interaction started or is going, you get to choose how it ends. And sometimes you might just change somebody else's mind too. All right. Any thoughts? Any coups to the brain?
Well, piggybacking on that client you were speaking about, we had a conference call yesterday with the lender, and just like Dan said, that's their style, that's their culture. The loudest person is the one that makes the rules, and she flat out told us both that we were wrong and what is wrong with us. And you just have to have that. You just got to have the canter just to understand that who they are, and it's not necessarily a personal attack. It's just that's how they work. And basically, after about an hour and a half call with them, she finally had an understanding of what we were trying to do and work in her best interest. Originally, the electric was going to be an additional $120 a month, and it turned out to be $96 a month extra is what they're paying for the solar plan. And
A win.
yeah, it's a huge win. And they're getting a $42,000 system for $21,000. It's got 1 year on it in November.
Yeah, that's a win. I would love that shit. I just had solar put up on like an estimate put on our houses, and you can't touch it for 40 grand. Are you going to allow people to affect your energies? Change your mindset? Uproot your motivation? Derail your goals? Make that decision. Yes or no? We in the sales business call it having thick skin. Anyone ever heard that term? You got to have thick skin. Well, thick skin is something you develop over time, just like any other, callus on your hands. It's from working, it's from getting worked. But thick skin comes with the idea that, you know what? No matter what your response is to something, I am who I am. We will get shook. People will challenge you. People will yell at you. People will call you names. But who you are is who you are.
Can I make a comment?
Please do, Joe.
I like to use the analogy of the palm tree, and I'm sure you've heard it, but you have to be solid enough and grounded, but at the same time allow some movement, right?
Yep.
A palm tree in the storm will never break. It will never fall because it has a solid foundation, but it gives itself wiggle room. It gives itself play,
There
right?
you go.
Dan, I want to add also, when you talked about handling difficulties, it's a really good idea if you run across a problem to find the solution first before you bring it to your client, because then you're not just bringing them a problem. One example of that was we had like a roof inspection that went badly, and I think the seller wasn't going to do something because it was maybe supposed to be under warranty. So rather than worrying about, is this going to happen, I called the roofer and said, okay, you should be taking care of this, and made sure we had a solution before I even told the buyer it was a problem. And then it was a non-issue. They have nowhere to go. And if it was your fault, same thing, right? You could say, oh, mess this up, but here's a solution. And that really takes the wind out of people's sails.
Be solutions oriented. And if you don't have a solution, you have a tribe around you that can help. Like, you guys can turn to a fellow coworker. You can turn to a mentor. You can turn to a team lead. You can turn to an ALC member and say, do you have a minute? Let me discuss a situation with you so we can come up with some solutions before I go tell the client. Mari, you've called me countless times over the years just to run something by me. You already have it figured out. You just want a second opinion on it. And usually I'm like, yeah, let's do that. That sounds awesome. Sometimes I have some advice. Sometimes I don't, because you already came up with the right answer. But don't live in a silo, people. Look around you, except for the people that don't have their cameras on. You can't see their faces, but every face that you see on here is willing to help you. And I don't care that we're in 4 different market centers. We're all one Keller Williams. We're here to help each other out. And when you come with solutions, you take out the fire of negativity. Because when you're like, hey, this happened, this is how we're going to fix it. I love it. My son the other day, he broke my head shaver. This isn't natural. So he broke my little head shaver. He was playing with it. He dropped it and he hid. He was gone. Like, he just disappeared. And come to find out, it's because he broke it. He was very, very, very scared that I was going to be mad at him because he broke my head shaver. Okay. Well, I found out about it from his mom. My wife said, hey, by the way, your son broke your head shaver, and he's terrified. So knowing the situation, I pulled him downstairs. I called him out and I had him come downstairs, and he took like 10 years to walk down the stairs. He was that terrified. And I pulled him, I gave him a hug and said, hey, bud, I heard you have something to tell me. And he couldn't eke out the words. But then I was like, hey, did you know that we were going to replace it anyways? It's not a big deal. Not a big deal, bud. And it like changed his entire world. Daddy wasn't going to beat him. I'm going to beat him up because he broke my head shaver. But it was because, hey, dude, we had a solution. It's okay. Shit happens. But the lesson, I told him, the lesson here, buddy, is when you screw something up or you make a mistake, you don't run and hide from it. You turn, face it, and fix it. Because a mistake can be fixed. It may not be exactly as it was before, but you can make it just as good. Some people think once broken, never the same. I don't believe that. I believe everything has a solution resolved. You just have to have the mindset for it. So here's my funny lesson to you. If you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, get back in bed and roll over to the other side. What'd you do with this thing? It also might just be screwed up. Seems like it's out of round. So give her one. Sorry, your cup was all wonky. Needed me to tighten it. So, but one of the funniest things I've ever done is when I wake up grumpy, seriously, because they said you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, get back in bed and roll over to the other side and get back out. Unless your bed's up against the wall, then that's going to hurt. But what it'll do is it'll make you laugh. It'll make you think you're silly, and it'll change your mindset. If you find yourself in rough water, just get out of it. It's that simple. You find yourself in a negative headspace, give yourself 5 minutes. 5 minutes to be upset, and then get over it. Set a timer. The funniest thing is when that alarm clock goes off, your brain will instantly snap out of whatever negativity you're in. And if you need help with it, reach out to a friend, a colleague, a coworker, a mentor, a coach, a team lead, an ALC member. Anthony, shit, he is the best at bringing you out of negative headspaces because this man is goofy as shit. Any thoughts, comments, questions on it, guys? I see a lot of head shakes and a lot of stares. Are you awake? Yeah, a little bit. Okay.
Good stuff, man. It's been a
wanna
good
know
week with you, Dan.
Oh, thanks, Joe. I'm glad you guys showed up. For those of you that are just joining this call for the first time, or this week is your first week, this is what we do all the time. Some days are more scripting and conversation based and helping with problems. But if you have something you want to bring to the table and discuss and get open, like I said, it helps other people as well. So don't be shy on these calls. Don't be, oh man, I don't know what we're talking about. This is, I don't feel comfortable. The beautiful thing here is there's no judgment. I'm not like, haha, you're stupid. No, I'm never going to say that. Unless it's one of my closest agents that's how we love each other, right, Jack? So this is all about your development. The more you show up for your life, the more you show up for your business, the more you show up, the more you'll get. I think the first rule in real estate is to answer your phone. Always answer your phone. And the second is to show up. Show up in class, show up on social media, show up to your clients, show up in the world. Because if you screw up something like my son did and you disappear and hide, who are you really harming?
Yourself.
Hell, I didn't know he made an issue. I didn't know anything happened. I wasn't even home when he broke it. So I don't know how long he'd been hiding in his room. Because I get home and he's usually on the couch on his tablet or doing something downstairs, and he wasn't. I figured whatever. And then until his mom came and told me, and I'm like, hey, yeah. And it wasn't until he told me what happened, or she told me what happened right before it, that I was even remotely aware of it. So he had spent maybe hours in this world where, oh my God, Dad's going to be mad at me. He's going to be so mad and all this stuff. And how much time did he take away from his experience when it could have just been, okay, I screwed this up. I'll talk to him when he gets home. We'll get it figured out. Just like you, I screwed up a document, or I forgot a timeline, or I did something that was silly. Let's get it fixed. When you hold on to those things, you are stealing away your life.
Has anyone heard the analogy of the buffalo cow and the storm? Pretty sure you have that.
It's a Gary Keller thing. We talk about it all the time.
Yeah,
Buffalo.
it's better. The buffalo runs through the storm, right? Like off the bat, you see the storm coming. In this case, with the fuck up, why not run through the storm and get it over with, right?
Yeah. Go get it fixed. Get through it. Because we can get back to grazing and being chill once we get through the rough times. And I love that. I mean, be a buffalo. A cow will hunker together and stick their heads down and hope and pray things get better. That's why cows are usually found in pens and buffaloes are usually found in the wild. Just saying. I grew up on a dairy farm. I know how cows act. They're tasty, but they're not smart. Buffaloes turn and run towards a situation, opportunity. So if you got a rough phone call, a rough email, or some bad news that came from a client wanting to cancel something, you can choose to hunker down and wait for it to be better. Or you can say, you know what? Shit happens. Turn and face the storm and say, hey, what DNA do I have in this? What did I do to make you choose that? right? I had a recruit that she actually canceled her onboarding because she said I didn't get back to her fast enough. She said, when I sent you an email, you didn't respond. I'm like, okay. Well, I could have argued it and said, well, yeah, I did. I sent you the email, 24 hours later. Did you not check your spam? I just said, okay. What else? Well, I felt like I got lost in the numbers. Okay, what else? I could get argumentative and argue my point, but that didn't matter. They didn't care. She just wanted to be right in that situation. So I was like, okay. And I let her be right. And I told her, I was like, how would you feel if you come across my email one day and you realize it was sent? Like maybe in your spam filter. She's like, well, it's too late now, but I would appreciate that I did get the information and you weren't lying that you would send it to me. I was like, well, okay, well, how about this? One day you'll find yourself wanting a change in real estate. And when you do, I hope you realize that I did say what we would do and I kept my voice to it. And I hope you do give us the second chance that we don't deserve. And her whole thing changed because she was expecting an argument. She was waiting for an argument back to me. And I said, okay, if that's how you feel, I'm not going to change your mind. I'm not going to fight you on it. I know I sent an email. I can tell you exactly when too, because our email has timestamps. But I chose not to argue with someone who was ready for an argument. I found myself a stubborn fool. And I realized, you know what? I don't want to be in business with someone like that. And one day, maybe she'll change her mindset. Maybe she will want to be in business and do something different. Until then, I hope the best of luck for her. Because sometimes those cows are not worth chasing. So don't hold on to your negativity today. Let it go. Don't hold on to the things that happened yesterday. Let it go. If you have a rough conversation, don't let it ruin the next 5. If you screw something up, ask for questions on how to get it fixed, and then come to the person with solutions. You want to be in this business a long time, then you're going to have a lot of difficult conversations. It's not about having thick skin. It's about having a steel resolved mindset. Even me, I have rough days. I have bad mornings. I have bad situations. I have shit go wrong all the time. But you want to know something? I give myself 5 minutes and I get over it. Sometimes I don't even need 5 minutes. And sometimes I just literally hang up the phone and go, wow, that sucked. Take a deep breath and move on. So I don't want you to think that there's superhuman ability out there. Everybody is going to go through rough times. A difficult conversation, a bad objection, a client that they just don't know how to handle. But the greats among us bounce back. Be really good at boring, be really good at the simple, and realize that sometimes it's not worth hunting down those stubborn people to be right. Just let them go. Get yourself paid, don't be right. Till tomorrow, my friends, have a better day, make something happen, go get a contract. But till then, high five.